Hello, I'm Alma Angeles. Welcome to Asean in Focus. We're coming to you live from Manila and Vietnam. Hello, Eliana.
Hello, I'm Faith Sebastian from EBC Vietnam Bureau, bringing you the news in the dynamic ASEAN region.
On today's headlines. The World Health Organization vowed to take action following a slew of allegations from staff past and present against its Western Pacific Regional Director, including racist, abusive, and authoritarian behavior.
A total of 618 new cases of the Omicron variant of the coronavirus have been detected from the 677 samples in the latest batch of whole genome sequencing.
McDonald's Malaysia has been forced to ration fries due to supply chain problems, adding the country to a list of places in Asia where the fast food chain is facing shortages.
Scientists discovered more than 200 new species across the Greater Mekong region in 2020, according to a WWF report, despite the threats posed by climate change and human activities such as logging.
First, the World Health Organization vowed to take action following a slew of allegations from staff past and present against its Western Pacific Regional Director, including racist, abusive, and authoritarian behavior. Japanese Dr. Takeshi Kasai, who denied the allegations, is accused of presiding over a toxic atmosphere at the WHO regional office in Manila with a culture of systemic bullying and public ridiculing. The staff, who wanted to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation, accused him of making derogatory remarks to staff of certain nationalities, in particular local Filipinos. WHO is aware of the allegations and is taking all appropriate steps to follow up on the matter, the organization's global headquarters in Geneva told AFP without elaborating. Earlier on Thursday, the Associated Press news agency published an investigation indicating that dozens of WHO staff filed an internal complaint in October, and then they sent an email in mid-January to member states on the WHO's 34-country executive board, which is meeting in Geneva this week and was attended by Kasai. In the email seen by AFP, the staff accused Kasai of abusive and racist authoritarian leadership. They also accused him of mismanaging the pandemic and wasteful spending of donor contributions, abusing his power to secure his re-election, and nepotistic staff recruitment. Headquartered in the Philippines capital Manila, the WHO's Western Pacific region covers almost 1.9 billion people across 37 countries or territories. Appointed by the WHO Executive Board, Kasai has been in the post since February 2019. He was previously the region's number 2 and has worked for the WHO for more than 15 years. In a document sent to the WHO seen by AFP, Kasai denied the allegations and said he would cooperate fully with any investigation.
Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen held online talks with Myanmar military leader Min Aung Hlaing on Wednesday. A Cambodian official said Hun Sen called on the junta chief to implement the 5-point consensus agreed by ASEAN leaders last year and to facilitate first visit by ASEAN Special Envoy to Myanmar in the near future. Hun Sen also called on all parties in Myanmar to cease violence and urged Min Aung Hlaing to help distributing humanitarian aid in his country, the official said. Cambodia's strongman ruler Hun Sen flew to Myanmar earlier this month for talks with the junta, the first foreign leader to visit since the generals seized power almost a year ago. Myanmar has been in chaos since the February 1 coup, which ousted Aung San Suu Kyi's civilian government and ended the country's decade-long alliance with democracy.
Australian energy firm Woodside announced its withdrawal from Myanmar on Thursday, the latest company to head for the exit, nearly a year after a military coup. The company has been operating in the country for 9 years. The Perth-based petroleum company operates multiple exploration and drilling sites in Myanmar, where a military junta last February unseated Aung San Suu Kyi's government and sent the Southeast Asian country into turmoil. And the move echoes that of energy majors Total Energies and Chevron, which announced their departure last week.
The exit of energy titans Total Energies and Chevron from Myanmar's billion-dollar gas industry has been hailed by rights groups, but analysts say it will not significantly weaken the generals and may even enrich the military in the short term. Both firms had faced pressure to cut financial links with the junta that toppled Aung San Suu Kyi's government last year. However, NGO Human Rights Watch's Asia director says, quote, "If money is still going to be abusive military junta, then all that Total has done is absolve itself of responsibility." Let's take a look.
We would have preferred if Total had pressed harder to have the United States and the EU do what they needed to do, which was impose sanctions that would allow Total to stay but not pay money. Because that was the issue. The issue was you either leave or a government sanctions you, forcing you to put the money into an escrow or tells the bank to hold the money. And that way Total wouldn't be at blame. Because if everything remains the same and money is still going to abusive military junta, then all that Total has done is absolve itself of responsibility, which might be good for their, souls, but it's not good for the people of Burma. One thing, which is that whether sanctions are imposed or not, Total's decision to leave will have some economic impact on the junta, and it will also signal to other companies that are thinking about business in Myanmar. It'll signal to them that this is not an atmosphere that you want to operate in. Sanctions. What's needed is sanctions that target a foreign currency revenue. And most of that is from gas and from mining, gemstones, timber, wood, teak wood. And if the banks that process those payments can be sanctioned or put under, not the banks sanctioned, but have the payments under sanction, the banks will freeze the money. That will incur real pain on the junta, and they will recognize that the costs of continuing their abuses are too great to bear. Don't just leave. Try to figure out a way that you can get the United States and the EU and others to impose sanctions that will set the stage for you to either leave or to stop paying the junta, or both. But either way, the money stops. Because if the money keeps going because some other company is handling the gas, then a withdrawal isn't really that important in the grand scheme of things. Should the United States have done more? Yeah, President Biden should have pressed harder on President Macron to reach an agreement on this. But ultimately, it was the EU and the government of France which failed here. It was ultimately their call, and they failed to do what so many had asked for them to do.
The decisions by Total Energies and Chevron to leave were significant, as the more than $1 billion in fees and taxes they paid to operate the Yadana gas field in the Andaman were Myanmar's single largest source of foreign currency revenue, according to Human Rights Watch. Last year, Norway's Telenor announced it would sell off its Myanmar subsidiary, which was one of the nation's largest mobile phone networks. Although the deal has yet to be finalized, this week it sold its stake in a Burmese digital payments service. British American Tobacco, which employed more than 100,000 people in Myanmar before the coup, pulled up sticks in October. French renewable energy firm Voltalia has also left.
Leaders of Indonesia and Singapore expressed concerns over the situation in Myanmar and called for Bdo to reach a durable and peaceful resolution. The two leaders also discussed issues related to economic and security cooperation as well as reopening of the cross-border travel. Take a look.
Selain itu, guna mendukung mobilitas manusia yang aman, kedua negara saat ini sedang memfinalisasi kerjasama pengakuan vaksin dan penyelarasan interoperabilitas platform pelacakan dan perlindungan yang dimiliki kedua. Indonesia dan Singapura memiliki kesamaan pandangan mengenai pentingnya memperkuat kesatuan, cara kerja dan kelembagaan ASEAN agar ASEAN siap menghadapi berbagai tantangan di masa depan. Mengenai Myanmar, kita sangat prihatin melihat perkembangan situasi di Myanmar. Indonesia dan Singapura memiliki pandangan yang sama mengenai pentingnya pelaksanaan 5-point consensus. Konsensus ini merupakan keputusan ASEAN pada tingkat tinggi dan harus dihormati oleh semua.
Indonesia has resumed tourism travel from Singapore to Bintan and Batam. It implemented a travel bubble to Bintan and Batam, and Singapore will discuss with Indonesia how we can make this bidirectional. And we hope without taking too long. President Jokowi and I agreed to continue discussions also to expand air and sea travel more generally to more destinations in Indonesia. But we have to take into account the COVID situation and in particular the outbreak of the Omicron variant. We also discussed regional developments, in particular Myanmar, where the situation remains serious. We noted that no significant progress has been made implementing ASEAN's 5-point consensus since it was adopted in Jakarta in April last year. We are committed to help Myanmar reach a durable and peaceful resolution in the interest of its people. But it is essential for the ASEAN chair and his special envoy to engage all parties involved. We also need to see progress in the delivery of humanitarian assistance.
Now, according to a report from Channel News Asia, Mr. Lee said he and Mr. Widodo also reviewed the country's ongoing bilateral cooperation, pointing out that the countries are strengthening institutional linkages to deepen financial cooperation. Both countries also signed several other bilateral agreements on Tuesday. The finance ministries of Singapore and Indonesia signed a memorandum of understanding on financial and economic cooperation. The MOU covers traditional collaborative areas like customs cooperation and fiscal policies, as well as emerging areas like financial services, climate, finance, and the digital economy.
Our main agenda today, we will take a look at
Myanmar junta authorities have released 3 local media workers arrested in nighttime raids last week, their employers said on Tuesday. Local outlet Dawei Watch said 3 of its employees arrested in separate raids in the southern city of Dawei on the night of January 18 had been released on Tuesday afternoon. 2 of the 3 are journalists and the third a web designer. An editor at the outlet told AFP, adding none of the 3 had been charged. Since the coup, 115 journalists have been arrested, according to local monitoring group reporting Asean. With 44 still in prison, 1 has died in custody, according to the group. Several foreign journalists have been detained, including U.S. citizen Danny Fenster, who was jailed for 11 years in November before being pardoned and released days later.
Also this week, at least 19 people have been killed in a clash at a nightclub in Indonesia's West Papua province, according to police, with most dying after the venue caught fire. 1 victim was stabbed, 18 more died in the blaze at the Double O nightclub in the city of Sorong. Take a look.
Kondisi luka bakar semua, terbakar hangus. Sehingga kita mengirimkan tim DPI. Pak Kapolda sudah berkoordinasi sama Kapus Dokes Mabes Polri. Ada 3 itu tamu, yang lainnya karyawan. Pemain band, vokalis maupun karyawan di para Double O.
The fight erupted between the two ethnic groups and involved machetes, arrows, and Molotov cocktails, according to Ahmad Ramadan, a spokesperson for the Indonesian National Police. The nightclub, a large red and white building, was left gutted by the blaze, and a burnt-out vehicle was seen lying on its side by the blackened entrance. Sorong, a gateway to the coral-rich Raja Ampat Islands, is the largest city in West Papua Province and home to a major port.
Thailand's Navy and pollution experts battled Thursday to clear up an oil spill close to pristine holiday beaches after an undersea pipeline leaked up to 50 tons of crude. Star Petroleum Refining Public Company Limited, which operates the pipeline, said the spill volume was between 20 and 50 tons, around 22,000 to 60,000 liters. The company said divers had found a failure in a flexible hose that formed part of the undersea equipment around a single-point mooring, a floating buoy used to offload oil from tankers. The kingdom's pollution control department has warned that the spill in the Gulf of Thailand, about 20 kilometers or 12 miles off the coast of Rayong province, could threaten a national park in nearby Koh Samet Island.
A Belgian court sentenced a Vietnamese man to 15 years in prison on Wednesday after convicting him of being the ringleader in the trafficking of 39 migrants, all Vietnamese, found dead in a lorry. Take a look.
En effet, je pense que le verdict est un signal très clair qu'on ne peut pas exploiter la misère d'autrui dans le monde qui essaye d'arriver à une vie meilleure.
C'est en tout cas un signal qui renforce, je dirais, la force des organisations qui les combattent. C'est un élément qui renforce cette idée que ça vaut la peine de combattre le trafic d'hommes. Après ça, s'il y aura vraiment un impact sur le terrain, ça sera une question pour les autorités judiciaires.
Si mon client va estimer s'il va faire un appel ou pas, on verra. On va d'abord parler et discuter avec mon client le jugement et puis il va voir s'il va faire appel ou pas.
The victims, 31 men and 8 women aged between 15 and 44, all Vietnamese, died from suffocation and hyperthermia in the confined space of the container, which arrived on a ferry from Zeebrugge. Vo was convicted of running a criminal organization in Belgium involved in smuggling a total of 115 identified people to Britain between September 2018 and the date of his arrest in May 2020. He denied acting as a ringleader and claimed he was a victim of the smuggling ring. He was handed a 15-year sentence, the statutory maximum, and a fine of 920,000 euros. Prosecutors said the gang used an Irish trucking company that regularly imported Vietnamese biscuits to get the migrants across the channel. Vietnamese gang members took charge of the arriving migrants once they got to Britain.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, will conduct 3 presidential and vice presidential debates as it hopes for the participation of all candidates for these posts.
Nakikita natin na mataas ang interest ng mga kababayan natin sa mga pagkakataon kung saan nagkaharap-harap ang mga kandidato, and we will make sure that we give them an opportunity to see that in a COMELEC-sanctioned event para lahat dumalo, no? We expect that mataas ang participation natin from the candidates when we stage the debates in February. The debates, please look for the debates starting February, the 4th week of February. Then another debate February, March, and April. 1 debate a month, basically. Ito ay para sa masakop natin yung buong campaign period. Kakaroon tayo ng stage kung saan sila ay appropriately distanced, no? So hopefully maiwasan natin yung need for a mask kasi pwede, lalagyan naman natin ng kahon eh. Diba? So parang naka-isolate naman sila.
Parang beauty contest na merong ano.
Opo. Tapos wala tayong live audience. So, pero definitely, yung mga media magko-cover, meron tayong stringent requirements dyan. Katulad ng requirements na inilatag natin for the filing of COCs, no? Kung saan hindi ka pwedeng pumasok sa venue unless may vaccination ka or kung wala kang vaccination, nagpa-swab ka on that day. So may mga ganun tayong requirements para dun sa mga dadalo, and for the candidates themselves, again, we will make sure that they are adequately protected.
Jimenez said the POL body is planning to hold the debates in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Jimenez added that e-rallies will be held 3 hours per night, where each candidate will have a slot.
Magiging parang 3 hours a night. 3 hours a night, and then each candidate will have a slot, no? So for example, for president, sa isang gabi, meron kang 3 presidentiable at 10 minutes each. So 10 minutes silang magla-live stream. Bahala sila kung anong gawin nila doon. Sumayaw sila, kumanta sila, magsalita sila. Bahala sila. Pero kanila yung oras na yon, and 3 yan. And then magsa-cycle po tayo, no? So 10 yan. So yung susunod na 3 kinabukasan, yung susunod na 3 kinabukasan, tapos so on. Hanggang sa matapos yung election period. So it will be a regular channel for them to actually reach out to the candidate, to the voters, no? Ganun din po para sa senador. Halimbawa, sa senador naman, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, 5 minutes per senator, 5 minutes then per party list organization. Kasi lahat yan po sila bibigyan natin ng pagkakataon na mag-live stream.
The news continues here on Asean in Focus. Eliana and I will be back right after this.
This week, tayo'y gagawa ng paella negra, gambas y chorizo, lengua pastel. Meron tayong co-host ngayon. Ito po ang anak ko, good morning to all our kakusina.
Good morning, everyone.
The best part now is
My favorite part.
Ayan. Bigla siya nabuhayan, ngayon lang siya nagka-energy.
Medyo di maganda ang balitang sasabihin ko. Wala tayong bonus. Bakit masaya ka yata?
Wala ko po talaga ako, boss.
Wala kang respeto, Mr. Bailey.
Oh, bakit ganyan ang forma niyo?
Sabi mo pupunta tayo sa pool.
Ayoko na may mag-asawa dito sa mansyon ng ating amo.
Hindi ho ba kayo yung amo?
Ako, ang chief kasambahay sa mansyon.
Welcome back. A total of 618 new cases of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 have been detected from 677 samples in the latest batch of whole genome sequencing, according to the Department of Health. In a joint statement with the University of the Philippines, Philippine Genome Center, and the University of the Philippines National Institutes of Health, the DOH said the Omicron cases composed of 497 local cases and 121 returning overseas Filipinos. The DOH said 13 cases are still active, 2 cases have died, 560 cases have been tagged as recovered. There are 43 cases whose outcomes are still being verified. To date, the total number of confirmed Omicron variant cases is 1,153. Among the confirmed Omicron cases, there were 5 deaths. The DOH urged the public to follow protective health protocols and adhere to minimum public health standards while studies are still underway on the possible effects of the identified stealth Omicron on current case trends.
The Department of Health confirmed that the Omicron sublineage BA2, also known as the stealth Omicron, is now the dominant COVID-19 variant in the country. UP Philippine Genome Center Executive Director Dr. Cynthia Saloma said they've detected this in all the 12 regions of the country.
Based on our analysis, yung BA.2 po, siya yan po yung ating dominant and the one circulating variant in the Philippines, particularly in our local community transmission. So based on the data worldwide, this is really, the BA.2 sublineage of Omicron is really occupying a very small percentage of the global samples that have been sequenced, that have been assigned to the Omicron variant lineage. However, there has been an increasing uptick of cases detected with the BA.2 sublineage, particularly in Denmark, in the UK, in Singapore, and also, of course, in India and here in the Philippines. It's really the dominant local subvariant of Omicron that is circulating. So regarding po sa kanyang mga characteristics, the only hallmark lang naman po nito BA.2 has been the fact that it was originally given a moniker of stealth Omicron. And gusto ko pong explain lang na yung stealth Omicron po na BA.2, madidetect pa rin po siya sa RT-PCR, except that tinawag siyang stealth Omicron kasi it lacks the deletion 69 to 70 in the spike region that is really targeted by the commonly used RT-PCR kit doon sa Europe at sa ibang countries na tinatawag nila TACPath. So yung TACPath po na kit na ito has 3 targets within the genome nitong Omicron o nitong SARS-CoV-2 at kasama na po itong region sa spike protein. Kasi imbis na 3 positive o 3 signals maging positive, nagiging 2 na lang siya kasi nga po may S gene dropout dito. So ginamit nila itong parang signal or hint, the most likely is either an alpha or an Omicron variant kasi wala naman po masyadong ayon, so sinususpect nila Omicron variant. However, si BA.2 po, wala po siyang mutation dito sa 69 to 70 region. Wala siyang deletion, kaya hindi mo siya makikita sa routine S gene dropout. Positive pa rin siya sa RT-PCR testing, except that yung one of those signals po nawawala. Tinatawag po natin siyang stealth Omicron. Yung naging malaganap sa Pilipinas is really BA.2. If you're going to look at the numbers of the 517 total genome sequences we got with the Omicron lineage, 336 na po ang nasa BA.2, pero yung nasa BA.1 is 180, at yung isang B.1.1.529, ito po yung original Omicron, isa lang po yung na-detect natin among our cases. At ito po sa international travelers. So sa cases po natin, mga 248 out of the 336 na samples na na-detect natin na BA.2 are coming from the national capital region. So malagana po talaga ang BA.2 dito sa atin.
Dr. Saloma said Omicron was also detected in fully vaccinated individuals, though the disease presentation was mostly asymptomatic to mild.
Staying in the country, DOTR Undersecretary Artemio Tuason Jr. said the suspended no vaccine, no ride policy in public transportation will be reimposed in the National Capital Region only if it will remain under Alert Level 3 or higher. Let's listen in.
Gusto ko po sanang linawin sa lahat ng ating manonood na ang policy po, ang no vax, no ride policy ng DOTR under Department Order 2022-01 ay valid lang po dito sa loob ng NCR. Linawin ko lang po yun po ay para sa NCR dito lang po sa valid yun. At valid lang po ito habang ang NCR po ay nasa alert level 3 or mas mataas. Pag bumaba po yung ating alert level dito, masususpindi na po yung polisiya. We have until February 25, napapayagan po sila kung sila po ay hindi pa bakunado or partially vaccinated pa lang, basta kailangan pa rin po nilang ipakita na sila po ay yung travel po nila is essential. Sila po ay lalabas at para pumasok sa ating mga industriya na pinapayagan po na mag-operate under alert level, kailangan po nilang ipakita yung ID nila or yung Certificate of Employment man. Ang pinakamaiksi po natin ay 30 days, kaya po ini-encourage po natin lahat ng ating mananakay at mamamayan at mga manggagawa na magpabakuna po as the earliest possible time.
Hong Kong on Thursday shortened the mandatory quarantine for international travelers from 3 weeks to 2, even as the city struggles to contain virus outbreaks involving Omicron and Delta variants. Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam on Thursday said beginning February 5, the 3-week mandatory quarantine period for all arrivals, some of the longest isolation measures in the world, will be reduced to 2 weeks. She said all arrivals to Hong Kong will undergo 14 days mandatory quarantine in designated hotels and 7 days of self-monitoring at home. She said arrivals will be able to leave their homes during the final days but are required to take a COVID test at least twice. However, social distancing measures across the city, like the ban on restaurant dining after 6 p.m., will be extended for 2 more weeks while schools will still be suspended. The ban on people arriving from 8 countries, Australia, Canada, France, India, Pakistan, the Philippines, the United Kingdom, and the United States, will continue for another 2 weeks to February 18.
In other news in the region, Indonesian President Joko Widodo said WHO's roles have yet to cover many strategic aspects during an address at the all-virtual World Economic Forum as he calls for a new global health architecture. Let's listen in.
Krisis COVID-19 ini menunjukkan rapuhnya ketahanan kesehatan global di semua negara. Dan kolaborasi saat ini seperti COVAX Facility hanyalah solusi sesaat. Dan juga peran WHO belum mencakupi banyak hal strategis bagi kehidupan dunia. Keuangan yang bertugas untuk menggalang sumber daya kesehatan dunia, antara lain untuk pembiayaan darurat kesehatan dunia, pembelian vaksin, pembelian obat-obatan, pembelian alat kesehatan. Kemudian juga merumuskan standar protokol kesehatan global yang antara lain mengatur perjalanan lintas batas negara agar standar protokol kesehatan di semua negara bisa sama. Pembiayaan bersama untuk arsitektur baru sistem kesehatan, sistem ketahanan kesehatan dunia tersebut. Biayanya jelas jauh lebih kecil dibandingkan dengan kerugian dunia akibat kerapuhan sistem kesehatan global, sebagaimana saat kita menghadapi pandemi COVID-19 ini. Seharusnya negara-negara maju tidak berkeberatan untuk mendukung inisiatif bersama ini.
Indonesia holds the G20 presidency for the first time this year and has specified recovery from the pandemic as its core objective. Its official G20 presidency slogan is Recover Together, Recover Stronger, and its focus will be on global health architecture, the transition to sustainable energy, and digital transformation.
Also this week, the city government of Manila has canceled all public celebrations of the Chinese New Year, which falls on February 1. Mayor Francisco Isko Moreno Dumagoso signed Executive Order number 11 on Tuesday, canceling all activities and festivities which mostly happen in the Binondo district from January 31 to February 1. Let's listen in.
I just signed Executive Order number 11. So, Executive Order number 11, an order canceling all activities in relation to the celebration of the Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year in the entire Binondo, Chinatown area. At nakikisuyo tayo sa ating mga kababayang Filipino-Chinese na wala po tayong mga dragon dance, wala po tayong mga paputok or firecrackers. Pinagbabawal din po ang inuman at pagbebenta ng alak simula January 31 to February 1. At nananawagan din tayo sa ating mga barangay official na ipatupad ang minimum health standard at ipatupad itong executive order na ito ng inyong lingkod at para na rin sa kaligtasan ng lahat.
Asean in Focus will be back after a short break.
Welcome back. The Philippine economy rebounded stronger than expected in 2021. That after a relaxation of COVID-19 rules fueled consumer spending and got more people back to work, according to officials on Thursday, as they forecast a return to pre-pandemic growth this year. Take a look.
The Philippine economy grew by 7.7% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2021. On a seasonally adjusted quarter-on-quarter basis, the economy also expanded by 3.1%. This growth performance was much faster than most analysts' forecasts, making the country's expansion among the highest in the region. This sends a strong signal that we are on track to rapid recovery despite the impact of Typhoon Odette. The robust fourth quarter expansion brings full year 2021 GDP growth to 5.6%. This exceeds the Development Budget Coordination Committee's target of 5 to 5.5%. In the second quarter, we saw a reversal from a temporary downturn as the economy expanded by 12%. By ramping up our vaccination program and allowing more sectors to open, we sustained our recovery and still grew by 6.9% in the third quarter amid the surge from the Delta variant. In the last quarter, we further calibrated our strategies by shifting to the alert level system with granular lockdowns. Our efforts to safely reopen the economy allowed more Filipinos to work and earn their income. The door to our economic recovery is now fully open. The numbers for 2021 show an economy primed to break out.
Mr. Chua said investments recorded a robust growth of 19%, rebounding from minus 34.4% in 2020, supported by a 37.4% growth in public construction as the government proceeded full steam ahead with the implementation of the Build infrastructure program. But Capital Economics Emerging Asia economist Alex Holmes warned that the overall recovery has a long way to go. The economy, he said, will remain in catch-up mode throughout 2022. This is according to his research note. More than 3.4 million infections have been recorded in the Philippines since the start of the pandemic, with more than 53,000 deaths.
The Philippines is among the top countries in the world that are the most vulnerable to global warming in the world, according to UK-based Newswitch. In its latest study, the Philippines ranked 5th out of nearly 200 countries with an overall score of 9.59 out of 10. The score is based on the natural disasters experienced by countries, affected people, and the cost of damages. The data also showed that these disasters cost the Philippine economy $42.929 billion. This translates to $360.75 million in costs annually between 1902 and 2021. Based on the analysis, the Philippines experienced a total of 671 natural disasters between 1902 and 2021. This includes 377 storms and 156 floods, as well as 40 earthquakes, 31 landslides, and 29 volcanic activities.
Meanwhile, monetary authorities aim to finish by the end of this month the investigation on cyber hacking of several accounts with the C-led Bdo Unibank Incorporated. Let's listen in.
The BSP recognizes the role of cybersecurity in fostering digital innovation in the financial services industry, and more importantly, in maintaining financial stability. Similar to central banks in the region and globally, the BSP has been steadfastly working to institutionalize cyber resilience in the financial services industry. Following BSP's intelligence-led cybersecurity supervision approach, we have issued several advisories on emerging and systemic cyber threats throughout 2021. Now, on the Bdo Cyberattacks, the BSP is targeting to complete the investigation by end of January this year. In addition to that ongoing investigation, the BSP continues its cyber threat surveillance, with the latest reports indicating that cyber threat actors increasingly rely on social engineering to perpetrate their fraudulent activities. The BSP continues to aggressively coordinate with law enforcement agencies to arrest and prosecute scammers, and with the relevant government and private sector players to address emerging cyber-related threats and fraud.
Last December, monetary authorities said around 700 BDO accounts were hacked, with some accounts fraudulently withdrawn of funds that were transferred to several Union Bank of the Philippines accounts.
McDonald's Malaysia has been forced to ration fries due to supply chain problems, adding the country to a list of places in Asia where the fast food chain is facing shortages. Large portions of French fries, as well as one type of large meal set, have been taken off menus at outlets in the Southeast Asian country until further notice. McDonald's Malaysia said in a social media post this week, quote, "We are facing a frightening supply crunch." McDonald's confirmed in a statement to AFP its Malaysian branches are currently experiencing supply challenges, with large servings of fries unavailable since Monday. Global supply chains have faced major disruptions due to the coronavirus pandemic, causing shortages of goods ranging from food to electronics.
Meanwhile, the ASEAN Coordinating Committee on Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises launched the ASEAN Access Match, a business matching platform with a view to boosting trade within and beyond the ASEAN region. Let's take a look.
With the rapid adoption of digital technology and wider internet penetration, it is only logical that ASEAN Access took this step to introduce the ASEAN Access Match, leveraging the new way of doing businesses that is not only efficient, but most importantly, cost-effective, especially for the SMEs.
Given that the world is still dealing with an evolving situation and the emergence of the new variants might still lead to restrictive measures that could hamper progress. But again, we all believe, like I've said before, the ASEAN region is now a lot more equipped today to manage these challenges. What's more, it also calls for much more creative measures and new approaches, hopefully that will allow us to reopen our economies fully and to continue the regional economic social progress in the new normal. The RCEP, as you all know, is expected to stimulate the expansion of regional trade, investments, and further strengthen the resilience in the wider regional supply chain amongst the signatories. Just to recall, RCEP is the largest free trade agreement in the world, connecting ASEAN and the major economies. It covers almost 30% of the world's population, 30% of global GDP, and a quarter of the global trade in goods and services, and almost 31% of global FDI inflows.
On Match, businesses can showcase their products and technologies, not just during an event, but also afterwards. As long as they are members, their business and what they offer through Match will be promoted free of charge.
ASEAN Access is the official international trade information portal in ASEAN and is the tool you need to find contacts and trade information in other countries. ASEAN Access has information about cross-border trade, a service provider data bank with practical contacts and sector briefs covering various key industries. ASEAN Access Match, or simply Match, is a highlight feature that offers businesses even more internationalization support to actively help find foreign partners and opportunities, to introduce companies to new markets and industries, and to allow SMEs to showcase their products and technologies to the world. Match is a virtual matchmaking, networking, business and trade events platform free to use for all registered members of ASEAN Access. Match enables businesses to present their offers and requests for products and technologies to other businesses on the platform. Experience travel and time efficiency through virtual matchmaking events. Find new business partners and guaranteed common interest by pre-booked one-to-one meetings with other industry leaders and their companies. A perfect opportunity to discuss concrete business collaboration wherever you are in the world. Browse the Match Marketplace to view offers or requests from other companies. On the Match Marketplace, the product and technology showcases continue even between events, ensuring non-stop exposure for your business. Match market information events focus on each country and key sectors to show how to enter, where the opportunities lie, what are the trends, and how to successfully navigate the specific business landscape. All matchmaking and events take place on the same platform. Businesses only register once, create their personal and company profile, and can then sign up for any events with just one click of a button. Match is your business matchmaking, market information, business and technology showcase portal in ASEAN, all on one platform, available free of charge to registered members of ASEAN Access.
scientists discovered more than 200 new species across the greater Mekong region in 2020, according to a WWF report, despite the threats posed by climate change and human activities such as logging. The finds include a new primate, a colorless cavefish, and an iridescent snake with an unusual non-overlapping pattern of scales. In all, 224 new species of plants and vertebrate animals were found in the region, which includes Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. WWF said in its new species discoveries report, images of the Popalanger monkey, which takes its name from the extinct volcano Mount Popa in central Myanmar, were caught by camera traps. The mountain is still home to the largest population of the reclusive simian, around 100 individuals, WWF said. Only around 200 to 250 of the monkeys, which are threatened by hunting, logging, and loss of habitat, are thought to survive in total. In Vietnam, researchers found the vivid colored Mount Ki Quan San horned frog at an altitude of more than 2,000 meters on the peak, which give it its name. The greater Mekong region, with landscapes ranging from jungles to mountains and karst formations, is a hugely important biodiversity hotspot. It is home to some of the world's most impressive and most endangered species, including the tiger, the Asian elephant, and the Mekong giant catfish. WWF have said the rate of discovery of new species, more than 3,000 since 1997, shows the importance of preserving the region's fragile ecosystems.
Thank you, Eliana, for keeping me company today here in Asean in Focus. You have a happy and safe weekend.
Thank you so much, Alma. You too have a safe weekend. And that's the latest news in the Asean region. Thank you for joining us here in Asean in Focus. I'm Eliana Faith Sebastian from EBC Vietnam Bureau, and we live in interesting times.
And we'll see you back on Monday, same time, same place, here on Asean in Focus. Stay in the news because we live in interesting times.
Susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.
Sa paghahayag ng katotohanan, hindi maiwasang ibunyag ang kamalian.